How many of you can relate to this thought in your head or this phrase from somebody else encouraging you when you're facing challenges? You just gotta have grit. Find some mental toughness, just push through until the storm passes, just hunker down, outwork everybody else, outsmart others, and just persevere, grit your way forward. Anybody have that thought in your head or receive that advice from somebody else? I fear that this, while well-intentioned to kind of encourage us to not give up in the face of adversity, really honor our passions and strive towards achieving even more than we may think is possible for ourselves. I fear that this social narrative around grit and its kind of corollary focus on perseverance and conscientiousness to a degree that is not healthy is actually going to undermine our effectiveness, our performance, our satisfaction, and our peace. Let me tell you why. In recent weeks, I have myself faced into some challenges, my daughter faced into some personal challenges, and I had a dear client who also, all three of us, fell short of some performance expectations we had set for ourselves or others had set for us. And in each case, there was both an inner dialogue and an external dialogue that was really calling upon kind of grit or kind of gut your way through. And it's interesting because the concept of grit is really something that educational theorists created about a decade ago. It's really this idea of kind of single-minded commitment to a focused goal over a long period of time, armed with things like really hard work, conscientiousness, mental toughness, right? And if you look at the face of it, it's a very attractive kind of concept because if you take two individuals, all things being equal, one individual is reaching for a goal but quits, stops their momentum forward, right? And the other person keeps going. Even though they face setbacks and challenges, they have grit or tenacity or perseverance and conscientiousness to continue to move forward towards their goal. Well, it's a very kind of sticky, relatable, easy concept and almost like a silver bullet kind of feeling like, oh, well, all things being equal, those two people, the person who had grit was actually successful. So while there are some strengths in this concept of conscientiousness, grit, and dedication, what I see every day in executive coaching is actually a bit of a danger and a danger of this whole dialogue, this whole narrative around grit in my mind. I see leaders every day so enthralled with this theme of grit that they take these natural capabilities and they overuse them to the detriment of themselves, their teams, ultimately their performance, their organizations, and oftentimes their families as well. What do I mean by that? Let's take three common elements, right? Conscientiousness. Conscientiousness on its own is actually a very valued attribute. And in fact, if you look at most leadership development assessments, it's a key component, part of the 4-factor model and other models that we've been studying for over 50 years. It's absolutely critical as one of the key elements to our performance and our effectiveness and our success. Conscientiousness overused, however, can become micromanaging, perfectionistic, single-minded, to the detriment of considering other factors that are present. Same with dedication or commitment. Again, an honorable trait, but overused can be a bit more like untenable focus on work, that it almost is workaholic, right? Overly dedicated at the expense of other aspects of ourselves. And then the concept of really being tenacious or persevering. I'm a big fan of tenacity. I've overcome a lot of limits and challenges in my life, and I'm not here to be limited. I'm gonna pick myself back up and keep trying. But perseverance, overused, coming from a dogged focus, intellectually, cognitively, analytically driving towards a goal without pausing to and actually ignoring and any kind of consideration of heart, emotion, intuition, or all the data that our physiology can give us, it's actually devoid of a more holistic sense of knowing to be able to choose our path forward. Overly tenacious may be ignoring exactly the insight that we need to make a quantum leap forward. Now, grit, again, is something that has been embraced in a lot of circles. You hear it in schools. It's been actually encouraged to be incorporated into the curriculum of a lot of schools. In fact, my youngest daughter had in the spring a special event where they taught mental toughness and grit, and she took a picture of the handout and sent it to me, texted it to me during a break at school, asking, "This seems a bit imbalanced, Mom. What about listening also and pausing and listening to our heart before we take action single-mindedly?" So I was grateful in that case that my daughters and I, this is what happens to children of executive coaches, right? We have these kind of dialogues at home. But I was grateful that she could ask that question or have that critical thinking capability to say, yes, I honor the perseverance. Yes, I honor the conscientiousness. But just blindly pushing our way forward may actually hurt us more. In the work environment, yeah, I also hear it quite a bit, and also in personal kind of physical performance in athletics or in sports circles. What's interesting is just several days ago, I think it was June 30th, I saw a report that had just come out in the Journal of Human Kinetics, and I believe it was a study run by Florida Atlantic University that took a look at grit and its the impact on performance in muscular endurance. And what they found in the results is actually higher grit scores did not necessarily lead to higher athletic performance. In this case, it was muscular endurance. They were doing like a weightlifting kind of test. Actually, even more interestingly, one of the individuals that scored the highest in grit actually had lower performance, which would somewhat point potentially to this overuse theory that I'm talking about. So obviously more research will likely need to be done, but this study is one of the first studies that I've seen anyway that points to how grit is not necessarily an indicator of greater physical performance. And I wonder what the correlation may be as we go forward between sort of mind, again, brain, heart, and physiology. Whenever you find yourself stuck in a kind of, I've just got to grit my way through, just got to gut my way forward, wait until the storm passes, here's my invitation. We talk about this a lot in my Reset and Rewire experience that Dr. Carla Stanton and I are beta testing and developing and working with some organizations on, and it's also integrated in my Recalibrate for Impact Leadership Accelerator. But here's the crux of it. Our physiology is an immense source of information, and whenever we find ourselves caught in that thought of, I've just got to gut my way forward, the invitation is to pause, notice what we are sensing in our physiology, use breath to actually calm our nervous system and get us out of doing, pushing forward. Actually notice what emotion we're feeling in the moment. Name that emotion, because researchers at UCLA have shown that when we name the emotion, it actually calms the nervous system, a bit counterintuitive. And then call up a positive emotion of possibility. That, in fact, then shifts your physiology, giving you more range of possibilities and more of a head, heart, physiology-centered way to move forward in pursuit of your greatest passions and seeking greater performance. This is my dedication to myself, to my clients, to my family, helping us all make sure that if we want to achieve extraordinary results, have greater fulfillment and greater peace along the way, that we don't just grit our way through. We find a way to listen to our physiology first, sync up with the energy of our hearts, and take action, committed action, tenacious action from that more well-informed, integrated place. So I hope this has been helpful for you. We will be launching a community after Labor Day in September of this year that has to do with rethinking, reimagining, reigniting your leadership reigniting and rewiring your brain in the face of rapid change. And I'll be offering a little bit more details as it becomes available later this summer for anyone who would like to be part of that community. We'll be filling it with videos like this, additional recorded interviews with other leaders who are doing exactly all of those things, rethinking, reimagining, recalibrating their leadership, rewiring their brains in the face of rapid change. There'll be resources, we're putting in tools, some guided audios. It's really gonna be a rich community for those of us who are ready to take charge of our energy and reimagine possibilities in this grand shift of our times. So if you are interested in learning more about this community as it unfolds, go ahead and click on the link below and we'll add you to the list to make sure that we give you some updates as we have more information. Until then, look forward to catching you perhaps on LinkedIn or Instagram.